we're never majority shareholders in any company that we back. So we think of ourselves as the entrepreneur that's backing another entrepreneur. Founder is the heart and soul of a business, and we are folks who back founders.
There are a lot of companies, especially startups at the initial stages, and I understand that majority of them, about 70 to 90% of them, fail at the initial stages. What is it do you think that they're doing wrong?
Product is king today. My view is that if you don't have a great product, you have no hope in hell in building a good business today. Execution over a period of time, that's your only sustainable moat. We kind of lean to our intuition, to our assessment of the team, and we underwrote a growth check in a relatively younger company.
Which are the categories within consumer and within FinTech that really excite you?
Personal care and skincare, hair care have evolved as one of the most promising categories within FMCG. Health and fitness has massive tailwind. Travel is a very interesting category.
Do you have any regrets in terms of companies that you wished that you guys had invested in but didn't, and it still haunts you today?
Some companies that have done exceptionally well and maybe would sit on our anti-portfolio list could be
Some VCs talk about picking winners. This one built the scoreboard. Peak 15 Partners, formerly Sequoia India, manages $9 billion, has backed over 450 companies, built 41 unicorns, and late last year, they did something no India-focused fund has ever done. 5 portfolio companies, Groww, Pine Labs, Meesho, Wakefit, and Capillary, went public in 8 weeks. That's not luck, that's a system. And my guest today is one of the people who is actually running that system. Sakshi Chopra is managing director at Peak 15 Partners, who spent her career doing the thing everyone said was impossible, spotting the difference between a good company and a great one years before the market figures it out. So today, we'll get into what's actually changed about betting on India, why execution, not the idea, is the only moat that survives contact with the market. What is it that the best founders have in common before anyone else can see it? Where she's placing her bets right now across consumer and fintech, and what you as a founder need to do if you're looking to start a business. Let's get into it. Sakshi, thank you so much for taking the time out and agreeing to do this. Let's just begin a little bit with your journey, because it seems to be in your blood, literally. You come from a family of bankers, and then, of course, you've had some extensive experience across some marquee names. Tell us how really you evolved into the space as a whole.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me here. Well, I started my investing journey 16 years back, but before that I spent 5 years in banking. Banking was a very natural transition for me because my father, my sister were bankers, and frankly speaking, I didn't think that much. I just took the first job that I got post-MBA, and that was in banking. I had a wonderful time. I had the opportunity to work in Germany for 2 years. And then Deutsche Bank. And then I chose to come back to India because I'm a very big India believer. And I spent 3 years in Deutsche Bank in India, and I guess whether it's serendipity or luck, I don't know what I'd owe it to, but I found an opportunity at back then we were called Sequoia Capital, yes. And that's how I started my investing career. It's been nothing short of wonderful, and yeah, I've grown with the firm.
That's wonderful how you've really built your career. And what I find so interesting is that you say you're a firm India believer, and that really stands out, of course, because you said that the pace of transformation here in India is extraordinary, and this is our moment. Do you still continue to believe that, and why?
I would say the few things that have really stood out over the last many years, which have really changed the landscape of investing for us and the opportunity set for both investors and founders, is the pace of technology adoption in India, also the talent density in India, and the sheer scale of companies that are getting built today in India, and that has a lot to do with the first 2 points that I spoke about, but also capital availability. availability and I would say, deepening of our capital markets. So we're today seeing companies that are getting to 20, $30 billion of market cap. That's extraordinary. We never saw any of that in the first few years of our investing journey in India, but India is rapidly changing. So I think the best years are going to be the next 20, 30 years ahead. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're talking about the tech adoption and the talent density. What exactly is it that you think is working in our favor when it comes to the sector as a whole? And what do you think are some of the drawbacks that we can improve upon?
I would say that today the world is talking about how AI is changing the course of business and how companies and enterprises are actually are moderating their workflows or defining their workflows. I think the pace of AI adoption in India could be a little faster and probably we're a little slower to that, but I do believe that will change soon enough. I would say yeah.
Okay, yes, indeed. I mean, some would argue that to some extent we sort of missed the initial AI wave, but I guess we are catching up. Now, what's interesting as well in your journey, Sakshi, is that I believe that it was perhaps in the year 2011 when you had approached an FMCG founder and they said that they had never accepted institutional money, and initially it was a point blank no. Can you just walk us through what exactly happened if you're comfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, way back in 2010 and 2011, when we were meeting founders, I would say they were very alien to the concept of venture capital. So, in the first few meetings, you literally had to explain to them what's our role going to be if should they partner with a fund like ours. Are we going to take over their business? Are we going to interfere operationally in their company and how it's governed? And also, like, what will capital do for them? Like they were profitable business. Some of them were profitable businesses, and hence they were plowing back a large part of their profits back into the business. So they never really appreciated what incremental capital coming into the company or the business can really do for them. Like what will be so trajectory changing. And more importantly, I think also some of the value adds that a VC brings along, aside from capital, which is really helping founders look for better talent, helping them think through more strategic ideas better. Some of that was little underappreciated back then, and I think that was the hard work that we did in the early years of our investing journey.
And then, of course, since then, the company has gone to build one of the most prolific IPO track records as well. And the fact that you have had over 35 exits, and that has been something to really, shout home about. Can you tell us a little bit about what the actual sort of sieving process is when it comes to Peak 15, what you all look at in terms of founders, what really stands out in terms of sectors and companies?
Yeah, well, that's a stat, Avan, we're really proud of. We've taken over 35 companies public in India, and a few also outside India across different markets: US, Japan, Indonesia. I would say that this is really the culmination of many years of hard work. These are companies which we have backed either at a seed stage or a venture stage, and over a course of 5 to 8 years, these companies have become either category leaders or dominant players in their markets, and and have earned the right to go public. And I would say the journey starts very humbly when you identify an opportunity or a potential in a very young company driven by a very ambitious founder. And over a period of time, these companies are, guided by good advice, good and also good teams. They are able to build very large businesses and grow into, I would say, hundreds and millions of revenue and profits. But our journey starts. So we're a multi-stage fund. We do seed investing, we do venture, and we do growth investing. I would say that we have partnered with founders across life stages. if you trace back our business from 2006 onwards, I would say a large part of the early investments were, like early vintage investments were done in younger companies. Zomato is a great example of that. Blinkit's another very good example of that. We partnered with both these founders when these were early companies. And look, over a period of time, just with amazing execution, with the trust of many trusted partners, whether it's in the form of capital allocators, which are venture capital or private equity funds, and fantastic talent, you've seen massive outcomes get built and created.
Absolutely. So I just want to talk about, is there a very conscious effort to look at companies within the consumer space and within the fintech space that you all have backed across different stages?
Yeah, so we focus on a bunch of sectors which are core to our business. The first is fintech and financial services. A large part of our portfolio lies in this sector. The India opportunity within fintech and financial services has always been very vibrant, and you see a lot of market cap being created in this sector. So naturally, you have very high, I would say, high supply of new investment opportunities, or rather, I would say, you see a lot of inflow of new company formation in this sector. The second sector of very keen and close interest to us is consumer and consumer tech. I would say you've seen, we like consumer brand and retail, and we also like consumer platform stories. We've been fortunate to have backed some of the best platform stories in India, Meesho, Eternal, Blinkit being some of them. And then I would say the third very big opportunity set for us today is AI. It was software, let's say, until 2 years back, but that's fast changing. And today AI is obviously a very core sector of importance to us. Mm-hmm. And we are seeing a ton of opportunities, both India to US and global AI opportunities based out of the US or Europe.
So give us a sense as to what the success stories have been like. For example, Groww, Wakeshift, Meesho, just some of the companies that I'm highlighting, and they have generated significant returns for you. Can you just give us a sense as to which some of the standout companies and success stories have been for Peak 15?
Absolutely. So I would say, let me take it maybe sector-wise. I'll tell you a
course.
few of our big wins across sectors. So in fintech, of course, you just mentioned we're very lucky to be investors in Groww. I think that's been a great partnership for us. Apart from Groww, more recently, we also invested in Neo, which is a leading wealth and asset management company. It's
very
a
recent,
fast-growing business, which we had the opportunity to back in their early days. On the consumer side, I spoke about Eternal. We were also early backers in Blinkit. We're investors in Meesho, Purple, Honasa, and a few others. So these are some of our, I would say, more prominent names and investments that we've made. On the AI side, there are it's a very early and evolving landscape, but we're very fortunate to be investors in fast-growing businesses like Superbase, Blacksmith, and a few others in the US.
That's really a very impressive list of companies. But I just want to understand, since you work so close on the ground, a little bit more about consumer behavior. The fact that we're seeing Gen Z really drive a lot of the consumer purchasing decisions, the fact that we're seeing a lot of decisions being made even in tier 2 and 3 city towns where we're seeing a lot of consumer picking up. Can you tell us what the real pulse is when it comes to consumer behavior in India that maybe not everyone is recognizing?
Yeah, I think one very big trend which is playing out in the last few years, which we're increasingly seeing a lot of our companies be beneficiaries of, is premiumization. And premiumization, in our view, is not only limited to metro city markets, but you're seeing premiumization across the board in tier 2 and tier 3 markets as well. As a consequence, a lot of our companies today have almost 60 to 70% of their customer base sitting in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which is phenomenal. This wasn't the case 10, 15 years back in India, because the purchasing power was concentrated in just a few 8-10 cities in India. So India was literally an 8-10 city market, but that's fast changing today. Maybe let me pick a category like personal care, which has seen tons of new players get created. The reason is because, consumer demand for these products is growing, and these customers are, consuming more and more products. Something that you ingest or you apply on your face, you're very particular about the quality, and it's also a very aspiration-driven category. So I would say it's not the city girl, metro city girl that only wants to apply a great sunscreen or a face wash. It's also a young girl sitting in tier 2, tier 3 in India who wants to look good, who wants to use the best product on her face. And yes, they are consumers of all these products. So I would say that across the landscape, we've seen phenomenal growth across our consumer investments that we've made. Another great example is, I would say all our quick commerce companies, whether it's Blinkit or it's Zepto or Instamart, a large part of their growth is now being driven by next set of city expansion, which is across tier 2 and tier 3 markets.
That's interesting to note because that's really where we're seeing a lot of action, and the companies that ignore these markets sometimes definitely get left behind.
Yeah.
And then the other piece I want to pick your brain about is Gen Z. I believe that nearly 43% of consumer spending is happening by Gen Z, and something like $250 billion direct spending in the year 2025 alone by Gen Z customers. How important are they? How difficult are they to crack? And what is a consumer company doing wrong by not catering to Gen Z?
I would say it's very important to focus on this buying class of consumers because, of course, they are one of the largest consumer base today, and it's very hard to ignore this. I would say this target audience. The difference is, I would say these customers, there are a lot of tailwinds that are riding on this, I would say, customer base. They are seeking healthier products. They are seeking good for you products. They are reading labels. They are actually asking a lot more questions. They're pushing for better quality, and they're pushing for more accountability, which is, I think, net positive for the consumer. So I think, frankly speaking, it's wonderful to see all companies, whether it's our portfolio or outside as well, everyone is pushing the envelope on quality, and really product is king today. My view is that if you don't have a great product, you have no hope in hell in building a good business today. And I would say I'd love to talk about maybe one tailwind. We were investors in a sports nutrition business called HealthCard since 2011, and HealthCard probably was one of the first movers in protein in offering a great whey product. But that time we were very ahead of the market. It was a very small market. And fast forward, I would say in 2026, nobody talks anything but protein when it comes to food and snacking. And now you can see a lot of brands getting built just on this one particular category. We have another investment in The Whole Truth, which is a brand that stands for trust and quality.
Big
it's
fan.
A premium. It's a premium health and sports nutrition brand, and I think. It's just staggering how well that company is doing today. I think time is just right. So, yeah.
Okay, I have lots more to ask you, but I want to sort of get into the masterclass where you can give advice for aspiring entrepreneurs or young leaders. So say someone has an idea within the consumer space. It's already very crowded. It's already very deeply penetrated. What should be the 3 factors that they really need to keep in mind that will make them stand out?
Yeah. I think, most importantly, I think most investors, I think one thing which we really love is meeting founders solving very, very hard problems. Founders just offering another solution to a solved problem is less exciting. Having said that,
so essentially finding a gap, would you say, in the market where there is?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So finding a real gap which is missing or which is really addressing a problem state, a product that's addressing a pain point, that is very relevant. Having said that, even if you're first to the idea or the category, you will see a lot of followers and competition come along, as long as, once people discover that there is a large business to be built in this category, or there are enough profit pools. So competition is very intense in India across categories. I think companies or founders that are able to really articulate why they are different, what is really differentiated about their product, their brand, their service, are able to stand out. And if you have, and folks who are able to even articulate like what, and folks who are not only able to establish differentiation but also able to communicate and articulate it to their consumers are able to run away with customer loyalty.
I love that. So solving a problem and
Solving a
addressing
very hard problem.
pain point, and then articulation of your differentiation factor, that is absolutely key. But I find that a lot of founders are now sort of chasing these very hot sectors. For example, AI is a buzzword, so that's a sector, or maybe health food. Is that irrational, or is it good to ride a wave or a sector or a trend that's buzzing?
No, I think it's great. I would say that most opportunities are created when you spot a tailwind.
Okay.
But key is to think really hard and think very deep, that where within that tailwind do you find a window of opening where you can create differentiation.
Okay, so most opportunities are spotted when you see a tailwind. That's interesting. And what about those who are entering an already existing category or an already proven market? What should they be keeping in mind? Because, like you said, the competition is fierce and intense.
Yeah. I would say new product development is really important, or constantly challenging and tweaking and upgrading your product or your service is key. Gone are the days when you've hit upon a great product and you can sit very happy and relaxed that this will take you through the next 2-3 decades. I think things are changing very fast. Needs are evolving equally faster. So you have to be constantly at I would say the heels of NPD. Your product development has to be a flywheel that has to really work very well to your advantage. I think we're in the world of fast fashion. We're in the world of instant gratification.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a founder can never get complacent. Once they've cracked a product, you have to constantly continue to innovate.
So you've backed companies across a pet care platform, NBFC, women's apparel brand, a travel fintech startup, a travel fintech card. Can you tell us what differentiates the good from the great?
I would say execution over a period of time, that's your only sustainable moat. In the early years, what's really important is having a great product and service and being able to communicate it effectively to your users. But over a period of time, to be able to defend your moats in the business, to be able to fight competition, and to be continuously upping your product, service, delivery to the consumer. All of that only happens when you're executing like a machine. And
Yeah.
I would say key to great execution is team.
Yeah.
So we always advise our founders to hire well. There's no need for a gold-plated structure, I would say, but it's really important to have a few key good people in the leadership team who are your trusted people and who can actually who are very aligned to you and your mission and are working with you to execute well.
Yeah, I think, a lot of even the founders who have succeeded always stress upon a very core team that has really led them to where they are. But yet there are a lot of companies, especially startups at the initial stages, and I understand that majority of them, about 70 to 90% of them, fail at the initial stages. What is it, do you think, that they're doing wrong?
I think failure can be on account of multiple reasons, but team is a very important ingredient to success and scale up. And, I think every founder needs to calibrate at every juncture who are the kind of best in class talent that the organization really needs, and then to be able to go identify who's the right person, not only from a business standpoint, but also from a culture fitment standpoint. Sometimes, hires go wrong, not because there's a capability gap, but because there's a cultural, the incoming talent is a cultural misfit. So some of those can backfire and take the company's progress back by a couple of months.
Some brilliant success stories like Indigo Paints or even a Purple. Can you take me to that room? What was the conversation like with the founders? What did you see? What kind of questions did you ask? And what kind of answers were you impressed by that made you say, this is a go-to investment?
Yeah, maybe I'll take you back, give you the little bit of the backstory on our investment in
Sure.
Indigo Paints. So paints is a very large category in
Yeah.
India, and it's pretty much a oligopolistic structure with just a few players.
And well established.
Yeah, and very well established. And this category grows typically 2x of GDP growth. And, so I think the market characteristics of this category are so beautiful and and I would say there were multiple large outcomes that have got built in paints as a category. So we were always on the lookout to see if there's a challenger brand that's emerging in paints. And when we met Hemant, who's the founder of Indigo Paints, he had so much clarity. He was such a small player in the paints industry, but he had so much clarity as to what's really working well in his business. And with some capital, infusion in the business, how will he be able to accelerate growth and get to dominance in the category? And I would say, fast forward, like many things that he told us played out well. With capital, he was able to go and acquire another equally sized business and overnight go from being probably, an 8th or 10th player in the category to the number 5 player in the category. And I think, again, over a period of time, a great execution has stood him well. He was able to really build a very nice business, which he took public in 2021. We're no longer investors and on the cap table of Indigo, but I would say it's an investment very close to our firm because it delivered some tremendous outcome for us.
That's incredible. So, I guess, like you said, that clarity of purpose is something that really stood out. So, when you at Peak 15 go in to a potential company or a founder's office, what are the 5 important questions that you want answered, or what makes that checklist for
Sure.
Peak 15?
I would say there are a bunch of things that we look for in every company or opportunity that we're evaluating. First is just the quality of the market or the industry that the founder is operating in, and by that I mean, is it a good neighborhood? Are there large businesses both in India and globally that have got built in this category? What's the market cap that those companies trade at? What are the profit pools? What's the ROCE profile of businesses in the category? I think these are just lead indicators to tell us whether over a period of time, should this founder execute well, will this be a great business or not? So I would say that's something we're constantly assessing, and in our mind, we're always slotting businesses within, whether it's a neighborhood or a A minus or a B neighborhood. I would say the second thing which we spend a lot of time debating and reflecting on is just the quality of the founder that we're in business, that we're in conversation with. That's really key because I think, look, the founder is the heart and soul of a business, and we are folks who back founders. We are not large. We're never majority shareholders in any company that we back. So we think of ourselves as the entrepreneur that's backing another entrepreneur.
Oh, I like that.
So in our mind, it's really important to be in business with the best in class founders. And by that, I think, like, personally, I would say I love being in business with founders who are solving really hard problems, who are super, super ambitious, who really want to achieve the unachievable, at least something that looks very tough today to achieve. And but they're going to go after it, and they're going to go after it relentlessly, no matter how long it takes them to get there. And they have a lot of clarity in terms of what needs to get done to solve this hard problem, and they're able to also articulate the story really well. That's really important. So that's something we really keep a high bar on. We also spend time with the team, because I think a good team is a reflection of how well a founder is picking and making choices in her or his business. And then finally, I think numbers do the talking. We spend a lot of time we spend time looking through the historical performance of the company. We gather feedback outside in from customers or competitors as well. And I think if most of these three things check out broadly, I think we found our needle in the haystack.
So give us a sense, once you've zeroed in on the company and on the founders that you're going to invest in, how do you come to the valuation metric?
Yeah. So I would say valuation is a bit of art and a bit of science. In the earlier stages, or I would say, most seed and venture investment valuations are driven by how much, what's the traction of the company, how big have they got to over a period of time. And more importantly, how much does the founder want to raise and dilute? So, frankly speaking, there's no very scientific way in on how do you value a business in the early stages. I think it gets a little more nuanced and scientific as companies get to more scale and are raising larger growth rounds, because then you have established comp sets in the market, and you look at what the peer group trades at, or what were the last few rounds done in the category in companies which are similar to the one that you are evaluating. And there's a certain range of multiples that you work with, and depending on how well the business is performing, you either give them at the higher end or at the mid range of the multiple. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us what you think a young founder today can learn from, say, the Scapia, the way that company, am I pronouncing it correct?
Scapia.
Scapia, sorry. Can you tell me what a young founder today can maybe learn from Scapia, what they identified as specific consumer behavior, and how they built a financial product around it?
Yeah. I would say Scapia is still a young company. It just started a few years back, but it's led by a very, very experienced leader who spent many years in Flipkart before he stepped out to build Scapia. So Scapia is a credit card business, which is also building a closed loop travel platform. I think some things to learn from this example would be Anil probably has one of the best teams. He hires really, really well. He hires very carefully, but hires very well. He's a fantastic leader. So, he's been able to attract some of the best talent in the industry. But more importantly, I think, look, Anil has a vision and he's going after it with a lot of courage. So, Scapia is probably acquiring almost 5% of credit cards that are being issued in India on a monthly basis.
That's incredible. Lot to learn from that. Can you share, has there ever been a time when it's been a near miss opportunity where maybe you've completely written it off, said no, and then you sort of went back, thought it over, or the team, and said, okay, this is a great opportunity, but one that you almost gave up on, and why?
I would say that, intuition is a very big part of what we do. And when you're evaluating an opportunity, obviously, data does a lot of the talking, and you spend a lot of time interacting with founders, and you meeting their teams. So there is a lot of calibration, and often enough, I would say that if you're not, if you, and then you also listen to your intuition. But sometimes data doesn't talk to intuition, because if you're evaluating a business that is still early but is growing so rapidly and so fast, sometimes I think you have to trust your intuition that this business will inflect over a period of time, or you just love the thesis and execution that the founder is delivering. that you do take the leap of faith. So I would say it's more often enough the case is always that your the numbers are not fully adding up, and giving you it doesn't appear as like a slam dunk, but your intuition and all your years of experience and what you've seen play out in your industry tells you that this is a winner in the making.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's at those moments. Sometimes you just lean towards your intuition.
Yeah.
Maybe like I would tell you that one such example was Neo when we met the team. It was literally in their 15th month of being set up, and it was a young business, and they were building it. But wealth and asset management is a business which takes time to get built. It's a long gestation business, and we saw early signs of a good business being built, but the data was still quite early. But we leaned in because we thought this was a very, very capable team. They were hungry, they were ambitious, and more importantly, they were super experienced and came very well referenced. And I think at that point we kind of leaned to our intuition, to our assessment of the team, and we underwrote a growth check in a relatively younger company. Fast forward, I think that intuition played to our advantage. It worked out really well. Neo is is amongst the top players in the industry today, and they're executing really, really well. So we're very happy investors there.
I guess that gut feeling really worked out well for
Yeah.
you. But it's interesting because you stress so much on founders and the quality of founders. How has the profile of founders changed over the years in the companies that you invest in? We're seeing a lot of younger people as well, second gen being at the forefront now.
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest gift to India today. We have senior professionals relocating from the US, people who spent a lot of time in big tech in the US, who now want to come and build in India. So we've seen a lot of a lot of talent that has flown from the US. We are seeing a lot of very senior professionals, or I would say early to mid stage professionals, also take the leap of faith. They want to build today. They've learned from the best in class in India. So I would say, whether it's an Amazon, Flipkart, Meesho, Groww, these are like massive training grounds, and these are such wonderful big companies. And today you see a lot of like young talent who now wants to build for themselves, stepping out of these training grounds and building. And also, I would say the third persona of founders that we are seeing extensively today are second-time founders. Founders who may have not necessarily been very successful in their first innings, but they've learned all the lessons and they've built the best networks. And they're going in for building again. This is their second venture. We love to be in business with second-time founders, irrespective of what was the outcome of the first venture, because I think there are just so many invaluable lessons that are learned the first time round, which a smart founder will implement even better in their second innings. So I think the talent density is incredible today in India. So it's the best time to be building and to be investing in India.
Wow, that was going to be my closing line, but clearly you've said it earlier. The best time to be investing in India right now. And speaking of, since you talk about Neo with so much pride, it's actually a bit unusual the fact that Peak 15 put in such a large check in a fairly young company, $35 million. What was the thinking or the rationale behind that?
Yeah, it's. I think we thought that this was a very high potential team. Nitin, who is the CEO and co-founder, he is a very experienced professional. He was one of the key people in the Edelweiss team. He had, along with his team, built the Nuvama business that stands today. So, I think we wanted to be in business with Nitin. It was just early. But we met him when he just started up, and we continued to be in touch with him. And we reconnected 12, 15 months, into his startup journey. And by then he had hired good people. The businesses had got launched. Revenue traction was nice, but it was still early, candidly. But I think we had a very strong thesis on wealth and asset management. We thought like India is seeing such a fast pace in increase of number of millionaires that are getting added year on year, and candidly, there were just like three or four large firms servicing such a large growing population of millionaires, and we felt there was room for one more credible player. And again, we went back to the drawing board. We said it's a great thesis, wonderful team, and early traction is very promising. That was, I would say, at looking back, it was a courageous decision. But today, looking back, I feel like it was the right thing to have done.
Absolutely. And given that it's really worked in your favor, so give us a sense going forward, which are the categories within consumer and within fintech that really excite you and which have done well?
Yeah. So I think there are breakout brands across categories. Maybe let's talk about consumer first. Personal care and skincare, hair care have evolved as one of the most promising categories within FMCG, within consumer. But there are many other very interesting categories. I would say health and fitness has massive tailwinds. You're seeing very large outcomes getting built there. Um, Travel is a very interesting category. Indians want to travel more and more, and some of the, I would say, brands or categories that are beneficiaries of travel. We have a luggage company called Mokobara that's really infecting well. Basically, the your youth of today doesn't want to be wearing and using brands that their mom and dad were using. They want to choose
Yeah.
have a brand of their choice, and hence they're rebelling and opting for some of these new age brands across categories. I would say in home and furniture, we have a very interesting portfolio company called Wakefit. It was the first brand to launch a mattress that was being sold online. Of course, now you have a few more players in the domain, but I would say like these are some very interesting categories. On the other side, on fintech, some very interesting themes are which are now fast evolving are personal finance led AI companies. That's very interesting. Lending, of course, is a very interesting theme that is a very large opportunity set and continues to play out. Credit card is again a very interesting category or theme within fintech. India has very low credit card penetration, so I think there's a long runway for lots of companies to get built there. Wealth and asset management are very, very big, exciting opportunity sets within fintech. Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of exciting spaces, personal care, personal finance, AI led, etc. I want to talk about the overall venture capital space and the sector as a whole. I understand that venture capital and growth equity investments in India have reached approximately $16 billion in the year 2025. How do you see that scaling up and what's the outlook?
Yeah. I think that's on an upward trajectory. Having said that, I think our capital markets have to continue to deepen and support this growth because you will see a lot more inflow of investments into India. As long as over a period of time, most of the funds can return capital back to their LPs, and that's a function of what is the nature of our secondary markets, what's the nature of our capital markets. So I think as and when we see a lot of deepening across capital markets and our industry as a whole, we will see a lot more investing dollars continue to flow into India.
And how are you looking at the overall AI theme? How important is it to integrate it within the companies that currently exist and to adapt to AI?
I think it's a very important theme, and most enterprises will have to embrace this change. We're seeing a lot of our companies use AI. Right now, they're using it more as, I would say, for workflow improvements, and you're seeing AI use cases across marketing and customer support. But over a period of time, I think you'll see a lot more adoption across functions and across workflows.
Uh, All right. And your outlook for Peak 15, any mission or any growth plans, scaling? What's the game plan and how are you looking at the India opportunity?
Oh, we're very long on India, and we're excited to be backing the best founders building in India.
Okay, before we let you go, Sakshi, let's get in quick rapid fire,
Sure.
okay? Just quick answers that come to mind. Is there any device or app that you're completely addicted to right now?
I would say WhatsApp. That's my lifeline.
Okay.
My entire business works on WhatsApp.
Oh my gosh,
so
same. Do you think that there's been a shift from email to WhatsApp even?
Oh, big time.
Oh, wow. Okay. Complete the sentence. The India VC space in the next 10 years will be?
The most vibrant market globally.
Wow. Okay. Three things that you look for in a founder or in a company.
Ambition, execution, and ability to embrace and adopt technology.
Okay. Do you have any regrets in terms of companies that you wished that you guys had invested in but didn't, and it still haunts you today?
Well, we have a bunch of anti-portfolio companies, in our list. I would say, looking at some of the more recent IPOs, I do think some companies that have done exceptionally well and maybe would sit on our anti-portfolio list would be Lenskart, Nykaa.
Okay. The founders or the companies that ignore Gen Z will be?
Ignorant.
Which is the hottest theme within the consumer space, according to you?
I think consumer AI is going to be one very fast emerging space. So we should all be looking out for that.
Okay. And the best advice that you would like to give a young aspiring founder in India who has big dreams in his eyes or her eyes?
Yeah, just go for it, build with your heart and build with a lot of courage, but build with a lot of clarity.
Okay. And finally, is there any book or any podcast that really changed the way you work or think or live?
I started, my podcast journey listening to Harry Stebbings. I think he breaks down, the conversation really, really well. So that's one podcast channel I would totally recommend for any new aspiring podcast listener.
Okay. What a pleasure it's been chatting with you. Thank you so much, Sakshi, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. So we certainly are armed with so much information now about the entire VC space in India. The fact that India is moving at such a rapid pace, technological adoption, talent density, as well as the fact that we're seeing strong companies being built, capital availability and dependency on capital markets is all working in favor of India. And keeping that in mind, Peak 15 has gone ahead and taken over 35 companies public in India. They've helped them become category leaders. And here's what really stands out. Ambitious founders, great talent, great execution. Premiumization across markets, including Tier 2, is a big trend to watch out for. Gen Z as a buying class is something that definitely needs to be tapped into. Do remember, when you're starting out, try to solve a problem, articulate your differentiation factor clearly, and try to spot opportunity during a tailwind or a hot trend. Execution is going to be your sustainable moat, as is your entire team. Do remember, new product development and tweaking and upgradation is equally important, and it's the best time to be investing in India, with themes like personal care, healthcare, travel, personal finance, and AI-led businesses leading the way. I certainly hope you enjoyed watching this podcast. Do remember to like, share, comment, and of course, hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.